In the year of purest hatred, I forced my way into marriage with my stepbrother. He had autism. If I kissed him against his will, he wouldn't tattle, just glare at me with reddened eyes. Treated like a privately caged canary, he could only whimper and sob. We loathed each other to the core. But one winter night, I came home just 2 hours late. During that time, he called me countless times. In the voicemails I missed on silent mode, he awkwardly repeated over and over, "Ting, Ting, come back." The year I moved into the Chen family with my mother after her remarriage, I went from being a treasure to an awkward outsider. I hated that my mother had abandoned her love for me. I hated my stepfather's coldness and rejection. Most of all, I hated my stepbrother Chen Mo, who remained unmoved no matter how hard I tried to please him. I loathed every member of my new family. So I schemed to force a marriage, wed Chen Mo, but I also loved him. From the very first time I saw Chen Mo, I was drawn to his looks. I loved his delicate features and pale skin. Dressed in a spotless white short-sleeved shirt, sitting quietly on the sofa, he was just like the cherished doll I once adored. So every day after we got married, during the daytime I would wait on him like a princess, serving him tea and water, helping him undress, and even wanting to spoon-feed him. But at night, I treated him like a workhorse. Only my mother knew the truth about me bullying Chen Mo. But she couldn't talk me out of my rebellious ways, so she could only make nourishing soup for us every day. And since my stepfather saw us as inseparable, he thought I was taking excellent care of Chen Mo. For the first time, he looked me squarely in the eye and asked if I wanted to work at the group. I was flattered yet reluctant to leave the cozy nest I had built, so I said I needed to think about it. The furrows between my stepfather's brows relaxed slightly, and he smiled with relief. That night, seeing Chen Mo once again reveal that pitiful look with unfocused eyes, I silently made my decision. However, it wasn't until I formally reported to the group that I shifted my focus to work and gradually reduced my torment of Chen Mo. Chen Mo has autism and cannot manage the family business. My stepfather didn't want to hand over the huge group to his restless nephews, so he placed great importance on me as his daughter-in-law. In the first few weeks, I was so busy that I fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. One morning, while helping Chen Mo change clothes, I didn't even have time to take advantage of him. I finished breakfast and left in a hurry. Then during my lunch break, I saw in the family group chat that Mom had posted a photo. Chen Mo had a tantrum and smashed my antique vase worth $1 million. I felt a surge of anger. But when I saw my stepfather asking in the group if Chen Mo was hurt, I suddenly calmed down. A vase worth a few million? In my stepfather's eyes, it was nothing compared to his precious son. I also chimed in with concern. Is Brother Mo scared? Maybe I should go back and comfort him. Although power is intoxicating, health is the top priority. After working non-stop overtime for over half a month, I now have headaches every day. After seeing my message, my stepfather immediately approved my leave request. After eating, while everyone was rushing back to the office, I drove my Yangwang leisurely home. Passing by a dessert shop, I stopped and packed a strawberry cake. When I got home, I first sent away the mother who was standing guard outside the door. Brother Mo must have been scared today, Mom. Why don't you make him some calming soup? After my mother left, looking back every few steps, I went in and locked the door behind me. After these days together, Chen Mo had gotten used to my routine. Hearing my footsteps, he immediately perked up like a startled deer, his dull eyes looking at me warily. What I liked most were his misty eyes, with shallow double eyelids and slightly upturned corners, which made him, though 3 years older than me, look innocent and pitiful. But when he caught my cold gaze, he would put on a fierce expression like a wolf cub. I walked over quickly and shoved him hard onto the Haicheng's mattress. What are you making a fuss about? Do you think I've been neglecting you because I've been busy with work these days? I deliberately twisted his meaning. As he was about to shake his head, I grabbed his jaw and pried open his unresponsive mouth, then deliberately let him see the thin strand of saliva I pulled out. Brother, I brought you a soft and fragrant little cake. Want some? He glared at me with reddened eyes, but it wasn't intimidating at all and only fueled my arrogance. In the end, I fed him the entire strawberry cake with my fingertips, not a crumb left. When I woke up the next day, the hour hand of the clock had already pointed to 7, yet Chen Mo was still sitting stiffly on the edge of the bed without moving. His thin, clear-cut back showed stubbornness, and I sneered in frustration. I've been teaching you how to change clothes for 3 months. You're autistic, not mentally challenged. There's no way you can't learn." He turned to glare at me, his brows furrowed in anger. Seeing the bite mark left at the corner of his mouth last night had scabbed over, I felt like teasing him. Brother must be waiting for me to roughly tear his pajamas off. Shock flickered in his eyes. He suddenly rushed to the corner of the room and crouched down, his pale arms that rarely saw sunlight hugging his knees tightly, faint blue veins visible beneath the skin. What a pitiful yet adorable fool. At this moment, the minute hand of the clock had already pointed to 10. I flipped through the suit I needed for work and changed into it right in front of him while coldly reminding him, "I'll give you 5 more minutes, brother. If you haven't changed by then, I'll come personally to help." Chen Mo changed clothes at the last second of the 5-minute countdown. I asked him what reward he wanted, and his eyes suddenly widened, his pale face quickly flushed red, and his fingers eagerly pointed at the door. After teasing Chen Mo, my mood, which had been as heavy as going to work at a funeral, improved. After finishing today's work efficiently, I was just about to leave early. But just as I reached the elevator door, I was caught by my boss. "Li Ting, don't leave yet. We're having a casual dinner with President Zhang of Hengyuan Group tonight."
He sighed inwardly.
In the evening, to help my boss secure the big order from President Zhang, I endured the pungent smell of smoke and drank until my vision blurred. When I got back, Chen Mo wasn't asleep yet. He was staring at the nightlight, cosplaying a corpse that died with its eyes open. I was a bit unsteady on my feet. Smiling, I walked to the bedside, wanting to see him clearly. But as soon as I got close, he dodged me, rushed off the bed, and soon I heard retching sounds from the bathroom. I followed to check on him. He was pale, trembling weakly as he leaned over the toilet, looking a bit disheveled but still beautiful. Sensing my approach, Chen Mo instinctively hurled everything at me, bang after bang, each sound more urgent and piercing than the last. The disgust in his eyes seemed so intense it almost became tangible. I stubbornly kept advancing. "Brother, do you hate me that much?" I lowered my head, trying to kiss his ear, but was unexpectedly spat on. "Get lost." I immediately stopped, staring blankly at Chen Mo. Even though I knew he wasn't mute, it still felt like a miracle unfolding before my eyes. I thought uncertainly, this might be the first time he's responded to me outside of bed. Even if the word was unfriendly, I lost all my temper. I took off my soiled clothes, gently calmed him down like I did during the day, coaxed him into bed, and covered him with a blanket. Only then did I go back to the bathroom to clean up the mess and give myself a thorough wash. When I came out of the bathroom, I checked the time. It was already 1 in the morning. He should be asleep by now. Forget it, I won't check the group messages. The most important thing is to hold my husband and sleep. But before I could get close to the bed, a dark object flew and hit me in the face. I covered my face in pain and crouched down, tears welling up from my injured eye. My other eye saw the weapon on the floor. It was my phone. As for the culprit, you don't need to guess. Are you crazy? I don't think I did anything to you, I said loudly, my question pulling at my injury, causing my face to twitch involuntarily. But unexpectedly, Chen Mo was even angrier than me. He kicked off the covers like a madman, got out of bed barefoot, and began throwing everything he could pick up onto the floor. The loud noises quickly alerted the rest of the family. My stepfather barged in wearing his coat, cast a cold glance around, and immediately pointed the finger at me. "Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? What's the commotion now?" At that moment, my mother also hurried over, asking timidly, "Ting Ting, what's going on?" I let out a bitter laugh. How to put it? It's hard to explain. In the first month after my mother remarried into the Chen family, I tried my best to please Chen Mo, voluntarily taking on the responsibility of taking care of him. Whatever he wanted or needed, all he had to do was glance at it, and the next second, I would bring it to him. But one time I misunderstood his intention, which annoyed him. In front of my stepfather and mother, he rudely flung the chopsticks into my face. I looked at my mother with grievance, wanting to explain, but my stepfather scolded me in a low voice. "Eat your meal and stop making such a fuss. Our family rule is to not talk while eating. You might not know it since you just arrived, but remember it from now on." No one wanted to hear my explanation. In the end, I had to humbly apologize to Chen Mo. That day was so similar to today, 2 years later. Ironically, all the efforts I had painstakingly made had changed nothing in the end. Those who hated me still hated me just the same. In the room, my stepfather was struggling to restrain the out-of-control Chen Mo, my mother was calling the emergency hotline, and the nanny was cleaning up the debris with tools. Only I stood there frozen, like a condemned prisoner trapped in my own circle. As the ambulance sirens grew louder, then faded away, and finally they all left, the room became empty, and I suddenly hated myself too. If you can't squeeze into the whole world, then don't try. It only blocks others' view and tires your own heart. If only I had mustered the courage to leave after the first setback back then, would the outcome be different now? I drove to the company building, sat in the car, and thought all night. When it was time for work the next day, my phone suddenly vibrated and a notice popped up in the work group. The Haicheng branch is busy with business and urgently needs marketing specialists and excellent supervisors. Anyone willing to help out there? Please sign up actively. Somehow, I filled out the application form. Before the approval result came through, my phone rang twice in total. The first time was from 10086. The moment I heard the ringtone, my scalp tightened and my whole body tingled, as if electrified. The second call was finally from my stepfather. Fear comes when you least expect it. Hope is never fulfilled. He saw my transfer application, and his tone was contemptuous. "Now you know fear," he said. "For Chen Mo's sake, I promoted you to this position, and this is how you repay me. First provoking Chen Mo until he has an episode, then seizing the chance to flee to Haicheng without looking back. Li Ting, what's going on in your head?" I gripped my phone, my throat tight and dry. "Chen Mo doesn't want to see me. It's better for everyone if I leave." There was a silence on the other end of a line. I heard my stepfather chuckle to someone else. All right, I understand. Then I'll leave Chen Mo in your care, Dr. Liu." I hesitated, wanting to ask about Chen Mo, but the call suddenly ended. Soon, my phone vibrated again. "Chairman Chen Jun has approved your application." On the day I left, no one came to see me off. Not even my mom. She only messaged me after I had settled in Haicheng, asking, "Why didn't you come back last night?" Chen Mo wouldn't sleep no matter how much coaxing. Uncle Chen lost his temper badly. "I don't dare to provoke those father and son. Maybe you should stay away for a few more days." I managed a bitter smile and replied, "Okay." The tasks at the branch were even heavier, and the people were even harder to deal with. The past 2 months, I've almost cut off contact with home. Sometimes, after finishing work, I'd unconsciously open the family group chat. The last message was still from last time. That photo of Chen Mo's shattered vase seemed frozen in time. I paused, then tapped on Chen Mo's profile picture, staring at the little boy standing on a glowing planet, gazing into the distance. I had helped him set up this account. There were only a handful of group messages, and his Moments posts were all made by me. The only thing I forced him to choose himself was his profile picture. Your profile picture reflects your mood. From now on, the moment I see it, I'll know how you're feeling. It took a lot of coaxing back then before he reluctantly picked one. These days, I kept staring at his profile picture, like a novice investor with $100 in a fund, checking it 1,000 times a day. A novice investor fears losing money, fears being stuck in a losing position. And I feared a permanent goodbye after a quarrel, feared being gradually forgotten. The thought brought a dull ache to my heart. I gritted my teeth, turned off the screen, and threw myself headfirst into work. Because my identity as the daughter-in-law of the group's chairman is still valid, as long as I put in the effort, there's a high chance of rewards. With the tilt of internal resources, there are many opportunities for advancement. For instance, in the promotion list a few days ago, my name was prominently listed. That day, I was busy until 6 in the evening. I picked up my phone to order a drink. When I unlocked the screen, Chen Mo's profile picture was still there. I paused for a moment, then swiped away the WeChat background. About half an hour later, a male colleague brought me my coffee. "Still working overtime tonight? Do you realize everyone sees you as a tireless workaholic?" I smiled and didn't mind, but the male colleague didn't plan to leave. He leaned one hand on my desk, raised an eyebrow. "Manager Lee, work is never-ending. With you working so hard, you're putting pressure on all of us. How about joining us for some drinks tonight and relaxing?" He was basically hinting that it would be impolite to keep overworking. Without hesitation, I readily agreed to the invitation. "See, you've been here so long and—" The male colleague, who had prepared a bunch of persuasion, was suddenly cut off. He was so surprised he could barely speak. You agreed?" I nodded. "I've been under a lot of stress lately." I wasn't deliberately brushing it off. I was genuinely exhausted. Ever since arriving here, I'd been rushing nonstop to keep up, and the emotional drain had been immense. By now, I was completely spent, both physically and mentally. As evening approached and clock-out time neared, a stir rippled through the office. I touched up my lipstick, grabbed my bag, and walked out to join them. Zhang Biao, the department manager who'd helped me with coffee before, was figuring out how to get there. Some of the younger female colleagues had come by bus or e-bike, so they needed rides from those with cars. Zhang Biao's car was expensive, so all the male colleagues fought to ride with him, leaving 2 plain-looking female colleagues still unassigned. Hearing that, I jangled my keys. Get in my car. Remember to send me the location. I'd left my luxury car at home and used some savings to buy a cheap commuter car here. Both female colleagues relaxed. Moving on to the bar, the moment I heard the music's beat, my tightly wound nerves finally loosened a bit. Everyone pooled money for a booth, gossiping and venting, except for me, who drank in silence. After a few drinks, my constantly overthinking mind finally stopped spinning. Zhang Biao teased me. Supervisor Li, you're really troubled by love, huh? Even though I was drunk, I was still very clear-headed. I raised my hand with a smile, showing off the wedding ring, and said, "What's there to be sleepy about? I'm married now." The crowd gasped. "You got married so young? I remember you're not even 30 yet. Being a department head is so stressful. I think I'll just stick to being an ordinary employee." "Where do you live?" Supervisor Li. "If you pass out later, we won't know where to take you." I didn't explain, just smiled with a tipsy look. A female colleague volunteered to take me home, asking only if she could stay over because she lived far away. I said, "No problem." And with that, my last worry was gone. I drank even more recklessly. In the end, I don't even remember how I got home. All I recall is my female colleague helping me stand at the door and asking, "Is this it?" Then waking up from a hangover. My head throbbed as if it wasn't mine. But when I came to and checked my phone, I realized that in the 14 hours I was unconscious. No one had contacted me, just push news notifications. I let out a bitter laugh, clocked in for field work, and worked from home. Later, when I went to pick up my takeout, I noticed a sticky note left by my female colleague at the entrance. "Thanks for letting me stay. Supervisor Li. I'm off to work now." After reading it, I set the note down. A call came in. Ting Ting, Chen Mo's condition suddenly worsened. He not only hit and injured the new nanny, but also refused to eat. "Because of this, your Uncle Chen asked about you for the first time. Come back quickly. Everyone misses you." I laughed. "Mom, I'm at work, not playing around. How can I come back just like that? Since my mother married my stepfather, she hasn't worked. Her monthly minimum spending is 200 to 300,000. She doesn't think much of my meager salary. Are you stupid? As long as you keep Chen Mo stable, you'll have everything you want. That huge corporation will be yours. Don't be so stubborn. If I don't see you back tomorrow night, don't call me Mom ever again." The call was hung up impatiently. After the screen went dark, I stood there, my mind wandering. Why did Chen Mo have a relapse? I'm not a doctor. Does it make a difference whether I go back or not? Even so, I still booked a same-day round-trip flight. In Jiangcheng, 1,000 miles away, the person in the darkness was once again startled awake by a nightmare. He sat up, clutching the blanket, his damp forehead hair soaked with sweat, inadvertently revealing a hint of haggardness. The nightmare replayed every night. Chen Mo bent over, covering his face with his hands, letting out a few painful sobs from his throat. Those misty black eyes were now bloodshot and burning, his throat dry, but the person who used to pour water for him was gone, and the caretaker from last night had grown tired of life. She had deliberately spilled water on him, trying to take advantage of the moment to defile his body. A flicker of ruthlessness crossed Chen Mo's eyes. His face, every strand of his hair, every inch of his skin. Only that woman could touch them. His untrimmed nails fiercely left 10 purple crescents on his face. Feeling the searing pain, Chen Mo blinked, suddenly overcome with an emotion called grievance. Does she not love me anymore? Why isn't she back yet? The early morning flight from Haicheng offered a view of the sunrise, but by the time he returned to the Chen residence, it was already noon. His stepfather wasn't home. His mother was eating alone at the dining table. Seeing him appear, she slapped his arm and said, "You ungrateful child, come upstairs with me right now." I swallowed my dry throat and followed her, pushing open the bedroom door. It was pitch dark inside. The thick floor-to-ceiling curtains kept all the sunlight out, leaving only the soft glow of the planet lamp on the bedside table. Chen Mo lay on the bed with his eyes tightly shut and his brows slightly furrowed. His thin lips, usually useless, were chapped from the fever, while his pale cheeks, thanks to the heat, had a rare hint of color. My mom gave me a look, and I turned around expressionlessly. First, I found my own cup, poured some water, and downed it in a few gulps. Then I picked up the matching couple's cup beside it and filled it a third of the way. When I returned to the bedside and helped Chen Mo sit up, my palm habitually tousled his soft hair. I was all too familiar with taking care of him. But Chen Mo woke up after only a few sips, his expression dazed and eyes blankly fixed on me. His stare slowly made me tense up. Afraid he would lose his temper for no reason, I quickly stood up from the bedside. As I turned, I heard a noise behind me. Chen Mo had fallen off the bed. His black silk pajamas made him look like a figure carved from ice and jade. I clicked my tongue softly and pulled him up with effort. How had he gotten so sick so suddenly? He didn't speak, silently resting his head against me, his arms tightly encircling my waist, like a small animal seeking comfort, obedient yet fragile. I stood frozen for a moment. Just as I was about to push him away, I felt something scorching hot on my collarbone. He was crying? I didn't understand. Lifting his chin, I tried to see what was in his heart, but all I could see were his bloodshot eyes. Suddenly, he kissed me. His chapped, peeling lips were a little scratchy, but as the passionate kiss deepened, everything seemed to soften. We hadn't touched in 3 months. Both our movements were a bit clumsy, but we kissed as if we couldn't bear to part. In the end, I accidentally bit his tongue, and Chen Mo let out a muffled groan. I quickly apologized. Sorry. Open your mouth and let me see. He lifted his head, his pupils contracting sharply, as if realizing something. He suddenly pushed me away and stumbled to the bedside. I accidentally knocked over the water glass. Bang! The glass had just hit the floor. My mom pushed the door open with a worried look. What happened? What happened? Let's talk it out. Don't start throwing things, okay? Ting, Chen Mo is sick. Can't you just let him have his way? I said. I didn't do anything. My mom glared at me, then turned to see Chen Mo standing barefoot on the floor. She panicked as if the sky had fallen. Oh my, the floor is so cold. Chen Mo still has a fever. Why didn't you put shoes on him? I opened my mouth, but in the end, all the 1,000 words in my stomach turned into one sentence. Forget it. Forget it. Half-hearted things are especially boring. Forget it. Saying too much is worse than silence. Thinking too much only makes it more painful. I slowly backed to the door of the room. My phone popped up a flight reminder. The round trip took 6 hours, and I had spent less than an hour at the Chin family home. After the plane back to Haicheng landed, I turned on mobile data, and a few unread messages immediately popped up in the notification bar. My mom asked where I had gone. My stepfather asked if my wings had grown too stiff. I cleared them all with one tap. It was already 1 a.m. when I got home. I couldn't be bothered to order takeout, so I made a bowl of instant noodles. By the time the noodles were ready, I had fallen asleep, and in the morning I threw them in the trash. When I got to the company, I was suddenly told I was laid off. The colleagues I had been drinking with just 2 days ago were all indignant. Li Ting was doing her job well. Why was she laid off? They have to give an explanation. Exactly, it's so sudden. No handover needed? Everyone has seen how hard Li Ting has been working lately. Aren't you afraid of disheartening everyone by doing this? The leader's face turned ugly after being confronted. He left with the words, "If you don't want the job, there are plenty who do." Soon I was removed from all the work groups. HR, who knew my background, reluctantly explained to me, "It's Boss Chen's decision. And since you were transferred from headquarters, your severance will be handled there." I nodded, packed my things immediately, and left. Zhang Biao and the others planned to hold a farewell party for me, but I shook my head and said, "No need. I've adopted a puppy, so I need to find another job to support it." Everyone's expressions were a bit strange. My emotions were complicated at the time, and I didn't think much of it. Later, somehow, this story got around. Moving in the afternoon, I was sweating profusely when my mother called and scolded me without reason. "Li Ting, are you a pig? You have a home to go back to, a shortcut to take, but you refuse. Do you have to hit a dead end before you turn back? Don't you know that, Chen Mo?" She paused mid-scold, softening her tone. Chen Mo must be missing you. He doesn't say a word, but he spends all day looking at your wedding photo. Exhausted, I leaned against a packed cardboard box and said flatly, "How strange. The more I brush you off, the more eager you are. The more I care, the more you treat it like leverage to negotiate with me." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I continued indifferently. "Some words make me happy to hear, but I won't believe them anymore. Since Mr. Chen kicked me out of the company, he might as well dissolve my marriage with Chen Mo too. I've bothered you before, but I won't anymore." Bang! Something seemed to shatter on the other end of the line. I frowned, about to speak, but the call was abruptly cut off. Forget it. In the past, the only way I showed displeasure was by replying late to messages. But now, I can do as I please. Hang up, then. After all, nothing is insurmountable, and I'm not going back. After that, I changed my address, switched industries, quietly pursued the career I loved, and took care of a gentle and obedient little dog. The autumn in the south was still hot. I worked from home during the day and walked the dog in the evening. Life felt fulfilling. But my mother always tried to disrupt my peaceful life, repeatedly attempting to drag me back into the mire. "Chen Mo is good-looking, just has a bit of a temper. He must regret losing it on you now. He hugs your photo every night before falling asleep. Ting Ting, your Uncle Chen asked if you're coming back for Mid-Autumn Festival. I worked so hard to raise you, and now you ignore me completely? You can be mad at Chen Mo, but how can you abandon your own mother? Please, I'm begging you, come back on the winter solstice. I'll make you lotus root and pork dumplings." My mother gave me life and raised me. I never let my guard down around her, but after her relentless attacks, I shamefully softened. But by the winter solstice, all the plane tickets were sold out, and the only high-speed rail options were very late departures. On the night of the winter solstice, I boarded the train home. My mom asked in the group chat, "Ting Ting, where are you?" I glanced at the dark, reflective window and was about to share my location. Just then, the high-speed rail entered a tunnel, and the signal suddenly cut out. Impatiently, I tapped a few times and accidentally clicked Share Real-Time Location. Too lazy to bother, I simply pinched two fingers together, zoomed out the map to see where I was, and was about to end the sharing. Suddenly, another avatar appeared next to the one above. Unfamiliar, not like my mom's artistic style, nor my stepfather's scenic photo. A name instantly filled my mind. Chen Mo. He had changed his avatar. My throat suddenly tightened. Seeing his new avatar, I couldn't help pressing the call button firmly. I swallowed hard and heard my own hoarse voice. "I'm coming back tonight. Wait for me." He didn't reply, but he never left either. On the map, our distance kept getting closer, closer. At around 8:23 p.m., the train stopped at a station for a long time. The voice announcement said, "Snow has suddenly started falling ahead. We need to confirm it's safe before proceeding. Dear passengers, please be patient." I relayed that message to Chen Mo and also said it again in the group chat. My mom only saw it after 11. "We're going to bed now. We left the light on and some dumplings for you at home." I smiled, suppressing the disappointment inside me as the car's connection resumed. I continued talking to Chen Mo, finally moving. "Are you asleep?" He still didn't respond. As the train passed through a snowy city, snowflakes fell against the window. I shared this with Chen Mo and even took a picture for him. He replied with a sticker. It was the cat head sticker I had sent him a long, long time ago. So cute. I stared at it for a long time, cherishing it. The cities we passed afterward also had sporadic snowfall. The train didn't pick up much speed and was delayed for a while. I took a taxi to the Chen family home. The whole house was pitch black. The smile on my face faded. "Liar. Said you'd leave a light on for me. It's not like the Chen family can't afford the electricity bill." I pushed my suitcase forward. As I reached the doorway, someone suddenly tugged at my clothes. "Ah!" I cried out instinctively, backing away cautiously. After retreating to a safe distance, I immediately turned on my flashlight. A figure almost one with the night crouched by the door, his thick black hair soaked by the wind and snow. Startled, he looked up, revealing a sharp-featured, pale face like an abandoned dog, squinting slightly as if waiting for a kind soul to take pity. I turned off the flashlight, walked over, and crouched down to his level. "Brother, were you waiting for me?" I knew the answer but asked anyway, greedily wanting his response. Chen Mo nodded, shaking off the droplets from his dark lashes. "Silly fool. He had been frail since childhood, never stepping foot outside his door. The biting winter wind made it hard to even stand, let alone walk. I couldn't imagine what kept him going. I hurried him inside. We took a hot bath together, then wrapped up warmly before heading downstairs to eat dumplings. Chen Mo must have been really chilled. He sneezed several times, his nose and knuckles bright red. Sitting beside me, he resignedly took the antiviral granules and cold medicine, then rubbed his nose with a bent finger and clumsily picked up paper and pen to write. "Why do you want to leave?" I pursed my lips and told the truth. "I don't know exactly how I offended you, but you never tell me. You just get angry at me all the time. I feel very suffocated." Chen Mo stared at me fixedly, as if trying to confirm something. I let him look at me while eating the lotus root and pork filling from memory, an unknown warmth flowing through my heart. Soon, he tapped the cardboard, signaling me to look. "Still leaving?" I paused, then said firmly, "Yeah. I have a new job over there, adopted a little dog. I'm doing well." In an instant, the cardboard slipped from his hand, along with a few tears he couldn't hold back. My heart trembled. Chen Mo suddenly pushed back his chair and turned to flee, leaving behind a panicked figure. I lowered my head and silently finished a plate of dumplings. Then I washed up and returned to the bedroom. The galaxy lamp was still on. I lay down close to the edge of the bed, not really sleepy, but still asked, "Can I turn off the light?" He didn't speak. He moved, wrapped his arms around me from behind, then nodded. In the darkness, the sound of breathing became distinct. I don't know who broke the rhythm first, little by little closing the distance until our souls began to sync. In the early morning, we hugged each other like conjoined twins. The sunlight slanted in from the gap in the curtains that hadn't been fully drawn, brightening the entire room. I stared out the window, lost in thought. Suddenly, Chen Mo's arms tightened around my waist. I turned my head and met those eyes, so beautiful they seemed capable of drowning a person. I've said before that I really love his eyes. Because they're usually hazy, his gaze is exceptionally focused when looking at someone. In such situations, it's easy to feel the illusion of being deeply loved. I remember thinking that the first time I kissed him. "Good morning, brother." A smile curved at the corner of Chen Mo's lips. I smiled back even wider, then, as if nothing had happened, poured him some water. "Are there any plans at home today?" Chen Mo shook his head. "That figures. He never pays attention to what's going on outside." I decided to go ask my mom. But unexpectedly, Chen Mo followed me like a shadow. My mother looked behind me with a strange expression and said with relief, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder." "Ting Ting, you're not going back again after this trip, are you? It would be great if our family could live together harmoniously." I turned my head. Seeing the glimmer of hope in his eyes, I said, "There are still things to handle, we'll see." My mother's face immediately darkened. Then explained to me, "What's this about a little puppy you're keeping outside?" I was stunned. What's wrong with me keeping a dog? My mother was also taken aback. "It really is a dog, not some male college student." I was completely speechless. I looked at Chen Mo. "You didn't believe that, did you?" Chen Mo turned his head away, showing me the tips of his red ears. At noon the day after the winter solstice, my stepfather made a special trip back from the company for lunch. Before the meal, he said to me, "I heard you've been doing an excellent job at the branch. That puts my mind at ease. There's a deputy director position reserved for you at headquarters. When do you plan to start?" My mother's eyes immediately lit up. I kept my head down and ate without looking up. As for taking on responsibilities, my stepfather said, "It depends on whether you're better at production or management." I nodded. "No rush. I'll take a look and decide later." That meal made everyone restless. Chen Mo was pulled into the study by my stepfather to talk, while my mother grabbed me downstairs to give me earnest instructions. "Now, either you go into the company and seize power, or you give me a grandson. Neither choice is wrong." I felt helpless and nodded eagerly, like a chicken pecking at rice. Not long after, my phone suddenly received a video call. I slipped away as if I'd found a savior, sneaked to the back garden, half lying on a swing to chat with my college roommate. "Li Ting, are you in Jiangqing now?" "Yes." "Want to treat me to a meal?" "You're so smart. Dinner plus a movie. I'll cover everything." I praised her generosity. Thinking that I had some business that needed her help at the moment, I agreed to the date. Seeing her exquisite makeup in the video, I deliberately changed into a classic Burberry trench coat before going out and simply put on some lipstick. Standing in front of the mirror, I noticed the hesitant expression on the face behind me. I lowered my head and smiled. This outfit made me look so much like my older sister. Chen Mo's eyes flickered. The college roommate I was meeting tonight was outstanding. Right after graduation, she got an offer from the top company in the industry. She had been navigating that world ever since, and now she had her own sharp insights. We ate and chatted, the meal lasting over 2 hours, and we were still reluctant to end it. After accompanying her to watch a movie, I felt the timing was about right, so I found another place to chat and pry for information. Starting with gossip and mutual friends' stories, we talked for about 2 or 3 hours.
Her phone rang.
After answering, she apologetically held up her phone. "It's getting late. I have to go back, or my other half will come looking for me soon." I rolled my eyes at her. "Oh, showing off your love in front of a married person?" She laughed heartily and said we'd catch up another day. I watched her leave. I asked the server to pack a slice of the strawberry cake that I'd enjoyed earlier. At the same time, at the Chen family home, within just 3 minutes, Chen Mo had already lingered by the window 4 times and checked the clock 7 times. After 3 minutes, the hour hand was inching toward 10. Under the distant streetlights, there were still no people or cars. Realizing she might have left without saying goodbye like last time, the sound of breathing in the air suddenly became rapid. "No, don't go." Chen Mo's temple veins bulged, and his reason, like the person in his heart, had run away from home. But everything in the room had been smashed. His gaze slowly fell on the 2 couple cups in the display cabinet, feeling as if pricked by a needle. Tears welled up in Chen Mo's eyes, and he raised his hand to grip his throat tightly. He knew he was sick, unable to speak what was in his heart. He used to think nothing of it, but now he desperately wanted to break free from his physical constraints. He pursed his lips and called his wife's phone. Several attempts to speak ended in failure. Finally, after managing to make a sound once, it was hoarse and ugly due to lack of practice. Chen Mo was angry with himself for not knowing how to make her happy, only bringing her trouble. The lock on the downstairs door had also been changed. Chen Mo couldn't chase after her, so he stood at the door, banging on it with increasing heaviness. Later, under the stepmother's advice and guidance, Chen Mo learned to leave voice messages. At first, she said, "Don't rush, just call her name and tell her to come back. Ting Ting is my biological daughter. I guarantee she'll come back." Chen Mo took it as gospel and stopped having episodes. He sat upright on the sofa, holding his phone and repeating that sentence over and over. The nights after the winter solstice grew colder and colder, and now a light snow was falling. As soon as I got out of the car, my body heat was instantly swept away by the strong wind. I was only 2 hours late coming home. Pushing open the door, it was like facing a 3-judge panel. Chen Mo sat lifelessly on the sofa, but the moment he saw me, it was like a withered tree blooming again in spring. Ting Ting. I felt as if nailed to the spot, unable to move. The strawberry cake hooked on my fingers almost slipped off. But the next second, a figure flew over like a cannonball. The ribbon tying the cake swayed in my hand a few times before finally falling. "Ting." I responded gently, a little confused. "Where have you been in the middle of the night? Chen Mo called you countless times, and you didn't pick up." My mother and stepfather sat side by side, both with displeased looks on their faces. I hesitated and opened the call log, which was all red. I randomly tapped a voicemail message and Chen Mo's awkward voice came through, calling out, "Ting Ting, come back." Suddenly, my emotions burst like a broken dam, and tears streamed down uncontrollably. I don't know why I remembered the first time I met Chen Mo. There was a tsunami in my heart, but I stood still, not letting anyone know. Now, I'm falling for him again, but I want to shout it to the world. Darling, I never actually left. Extra story. After we reconciled, I wanted to go to Haicheng to pick up the puppy and bring it home with us. But I wasn't comfortable with the available transport methods, so I planned to drive there myself. So I discussed it with Chen Mo, promising to return within a week and not waste a single minute on the road. Okay. Chen Mo didn't refuse. But once he opened his eyes, he clung to me like a shadow, never leaving my side. He often woke up from nightmares at night, and when he did, he'd wrap around me like a snake strangling its prey. I was so exasperated by him that I just brought him along. The original plan was a round trip in 1 week. With Chen Mo here, The deadline stretched indefinitely. Later, at a rest stop, my period suddenly came. My light-colored pants were completely stained with blood, impossible to hide. I panicked. I took a photo and sent it to Chen Mo. What should I do? Chen Mo immediately replied, "Wait for me," with a gif. I felt a surge of excitement, eager to see what he would do. A few minutes later, Chen Mo texted me asking, "Where are you?" I cracked open the door a little and saw him pacing outside wearing a cap and mask, holding a large plastic bag that clashed with his demeanor. I couldn't help but laugh. Hearing the noise, Chen Mo immediately rushed over. I took the bag and looked inside. "Wow, did you buy out the entire store's supply of pads?" He shook his head, his face quickly turning red. At that moment, the cashier at the service station store was excitedly sharing with a friend, "A super handsome guy just came in, like a top celebrity." Just one look purified all my work fatigue off me. But do you know what he came to buy? He came to buy sanitary pads. Alas, what a pity that super handsome guy is actually mute. He kept using his phone to type to me, and it was even using his chat window with his wife. I admit I was jealous, so I really stuck it to him. But it turned out he was using a family payment account. After venting, my friend replied, "Well, that's life for you." The end.